Before I start this video, I want to tell you guys I'm very grateful, very humbled by your participation that you've been coming back to watch my videos. This is a new channel. It's starting to grow just a little bit, but you know what? I'm happy for anyone that's come back. And I just want to say, if you haven't already, could you please subscribe and share the content if you like it? Today is going to just be a little bit of an update about what's going on right now with this whole Israel thing and how it fits in with prophecy. Welcome to theinforminator.net. Hey everybody, this is AP. You're listening to The Uncomfortable Truth with AP and Chatty. I had to make this video, man. I think just things are going on all over the world right now. We have the protests happening in LA, the No Kings protests happening all across the country. That was one thing I wanted to get into, but I don't think we're going to do that today. Today we're going to get into some prophecy because the Israel Iran situation has kind of escalated, and right now it seems some type of I don't know, like a middle ground because everybody's waiting on Trump. What's his decision going to be? Is he gonna send? Are we going to bomb their nuclear facilities? Are we going to do those things? I don't know, and I think people are waiting on Trump right now. So I believe the last time I heard he's going to have 2 weeks. Right. Matter of fact, it says that on the screen. Trump says he'll decide within 2 weeks whether to join the war. I don't know if it's even going to last 2 weeks. Things have been just developing really quick. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're saying 2 weeks and then somehow it's some type of cover and something happens, maybe even over the weekend. I say that because we know that kind of happened in Ukraine, right? When Lindsey Graham was talking to Zelensky, and then like we were talking about peace and talks, and all these peace talks were supposed to happen between Russia and Ukraine, and then we wake up to Ukraine um, bombing like military and military vehicles and planes inside of Russia, and that kind of happened. Just kind of like it happened so quick that all over social media you had conspiracy theorists, you have your regular media type people, talking heads. Everybody was just kind of confused. Like, what was that planned? Did the CIA know? Did Trump know? Never really got to the bottom of that, but I'm pretty sure I remember Trump saying that he didn't have any idea. But it's just, if you have any common sense, it just didn't sound right. Like, there's just no way that Trump didn't know, and I think most people feel that way because if Trump didn't know, then obviously there's a who's running the United States. The CIA, because you would think Trump would know, or he'd be really upset, and he didn't seem like any of those things, so he probably knew. And then when it comes to Iran, Israel started bombing as well these nuclear sites, and once again, there was supposed to be like peace talks. Trump was at the G7. He was talking with Iran with these nukes, and it's been moving along slowly. And then all of a sudden, these facilities get bombed. So I know some people feel like Trump probably knew about this too. I don't know. I haven't really dug too deep into that. I'm like a lot of people. I'm just worried about war. Who wants war? Who wants to get into another one of these never-ending wars? And everyone's talking about it, right? You have your Candace Owens, your Tucker Carlsons of the world, just different popular media people giving their opinion. And then you have MAGA online. You have some rifts between MAGA people because some people feel like there's always that sect of people that want to back Trump no matter what. No matter what he does. Like I don't. It's just weird. Those people I don't really pay attention to. I mean, my thing is this: I'm an independent. I voted Trump. Unlike Dave Smith, who's like, "Oh, I hope he gets impeached." I don't have that type of thinking. I'm more like, look, it's not easy being president. I pray for him. The Bible says to pray for your leaders, but I'm not naive either. You don't put all your faith into a human being. You just don't. You can look in the book of Psalms, and Psalms will tell you don't do that. You put your faith into God, and the reason why is because people, they will. Most people eventually, at some point in time, disappoint you. And that's not to be harsh about it, but that's just the truth. Humans do dumb things. That's what we do, and so we cause a lot of disappointment to each other, to the world, especially to God. I would think so, because like I said, we mess up and we get into these situations like what's going on right here. So when it comes to Trump, I back him. I think it's very difficult being a leader, because no matter what decisions you make, you're going to affect a lot of people, and that has to weigh heavy on you unless you're soulless. And I know a lot of people don't like Trump. I do think Trump cares, but you got to understand he's working with this cabinet of people. He's got the CIA and all these different forces, different governments around the world, everyone pulling at him in different ways. I think it's got to be a terribly difficult job to do, because you got so many people telling you what you should do. And I, like I said, I pray for him. I think it's difficult. If he gets flipped, like goes to the new world order side, starts to become like a globalist in some ways, it wouldn't surprise me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be shocked. Like I think a lot of people will be shocked. I'm not going to be shocked, because, like I said, I mean, the Bible has an outlining of how things are going to go. So there is an end times in the Bible. As a Christian, if you are a real Christian, you're a conspiracy theorist based off of the book of Revelations, based off there is an end times. Things are gonna just get really wacky, and they are right now. I mean, things could calm down, right? But right now they are really wacky. Just throwing it out there, I was called a what do you call it? What's that term they use? Dispensationalist, I believe they call it. Some people were trying to basically say that I'm part of this group, because that's another thing you're getting right now with all this mudslinging and disagreement. You're getting a lot of mudslinging right now amongst everybody, and people are trying to label each other like you're a isolationist, like you, or you're a American nationalist. So you get all these terms thrown around, and so the term that I heard recently, dispensationalist, I believe that's how you pronounce that. Um, but I can tell you right now, I'm not. I'm you can't really define me like that as a word, because I don't even have a denomination. I'm a Christian. That's what I am. I'm a Christian that read my Bible. I still read my Bible. I go back through it back and forth. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a scholar by any means. I've mentioned that before if you watch any of my other videos. No, I'm a person that read the Bible, and I have God's wisdom, in the sense where when you read the Bible and you form a relationship with God, He gives you wisdom. So this isn't like just something I have. It's anybody that chooses to read the Bible and have a relationship with God, He will give you wisdom, and you understand with this wisdom that that you don't need to be a Wesley Huff. You don't need to be a scholar, and you don't need to be a historian to learn every single thing. Does it help in some regards? Sure. I mean, it's good to have information, right? To be knowledgeable, but reading the Bible is all you really need. Once you read it, you'll realize if you're just looking for the keys to life and how you should live and how to get from point A to point B. One is point A is the human realm, and then to point B, which is heaven. If that's the ultimate goal for you as a Christian, you don't need to know any of those other things. But you can. It's like if you want to go learn it, great, go ahead. But what all I'm trying to say is, if you read the Bible and you form that relationship with God, you're already going to get a lot of wisdom, and you're going to understand these. You're going to know how the world works. You don't need to know all those things. That's what I'm telling you. That's not a cop out for myself to say, well, see, I don't need to be a professional or anything. That I'm not even saying that, because I actually do know a lot. I've mentioned that before. I'm 47 years old. I've studied almost everything in the conspiracy world. I don't know everything, but I've studied. I like, what is that saying? I guess you could use a jack of all trades. I don't know. I'm not an expert in anything, but I'm good at everything. Put it that way. That's how I would say. I've seen so many documentaries, and I've probably seen about 1,000, and we're talking from UFO conspiracy to the invention of the light bulb. That's me. That's the kind of person I am. I love knowledge, so I read a lot. I like I said, things that I have a lot of interest in, I study them. So I studied a lot of the UFO stuff because when I was younger, that was just something I was into. Study the Bible, so I know a lot of things about the Bible. I know I can have a conversation with pretty much anyone, even if you're asking certain type of historical things like, you know, does the original Bible exist today? Which I'll tell you, no, it doesn't. You know, you know, when who has the oldest Bible? The Catholic Church, as far as I know. You know what I mean? Like I can answer certain things. If you ask me, well, how do you know the Bible's true? As far as it hasn't been changed, because people always use that argument that men have gotten the Bible and they changed it over time. And it's like I'll tell you, well, look at the Dead Sea Scrolls when they found those in what was it, 1948, 47, somewhere in that range. That kind of after they studied them, they kind of saw that nothing has changed. It's the book of Isaiah, whatever they found still is accurate word for word to the Bible you have at home. So like I can have a conversation. I can have a conversation in history in our age, in the day that we're living in today. What you don't know, you can easily acquire, right? You can just Google it. There's AI, and I can tell you here's something about AI. I think a lot of people don't really know is that um, AI can get you information because that's what it does. It pulls information off the internet. But the more knowledge the person that's using AI has, right? If you have knowledge yourself, you can actually help AI dig deeper and get you more accurate information. And a lot of people don't know that. So, Chatty, what's the definition of a unicorn?
A unicorn is traditionally a mythical creature, often depicted as a horse with a single spiraling horn on its forehead. In modern times, the term unicorn is also used in the business world to describe a startup company that has reached a valuation of over $1 billion. So it can be magical or financial, depending on the context.
Okay, I'm going to address the audience. So, see, audience, I asked Chatty what a unicorn was, and he gave you the definition. See, so a lot of people will say, "Okay, that's cool. That's a good definition." But see, the word unicorn is used in the Bible. So if you hear the word unicorn in the Bible, you're going to think of this horse. But see, if you're older and you have a little bit more knowledge, you can help AI help you out better. And I can do something like this. What's the definition of a unicorn in the Bible? Like, what was it actually a horse or
You're
was it something
asking what
else?
unicorns were believed to be before they were popularly seen as horses with a horn. All right, so originally the term unicorn was used in old translations of the Bible, like the King James Version, to refer to a strong wild animal. Many scholars today think it referred to a now extinct species of wild ox, like the aurochs, or possibly a rhinoceros. It wasn't a magical horse yet, it was more of a symbol of power and strength, and possibly a real creature people misunderstood.
So there you go. So that's what I mean. That if you, the user, has more knowledge, which see, I already knew that. See, today's interpretation of a unicorn, we all know it as this fake horse, right, with the horn on the head. But back in the day, that's not what it was. So when the Bible mentions unicorn, if you don't know that, you're just going to say, "Hey, there's a unicorn in the Bible," and that's what some people try to do to talk down about the Bible or say that it's not true because it has mythical creatures, that but they're wrong because the way the Bible states it and the unicorn was kind of changed in the dictionary, but before it used to mean this other beast. See, and right there you see AI says it was like an ox. I always had thought it was some type of rhinoceros that doesn't exist anymore, but that's what AI says. But that's my point. My point is AI is only as good as its user. So, but with today, you can learn all these things. So if there's something you don't know, you want to learn some history, you can Google it and all that. So we're all living in an age of great knowledge, which is also in the Bible. That's stated in the Bible that you're able to like in the future, like towards the end times, that knowledge is going to be going back and forth, and you can literally say that we're in that time because of AI. Uh, it's almost like there's no doubt anymore. We're definitely there at that period of great knowledge because anybody, right? How many times have you gone on YouTube because you can't fix a pipe, a leaking pipe in your home? You can go on YouTube and just figure it out and learn that. Like that was never the case back in the 90s or 80s, any of those times before the internet really took off in the late 90s, early 2000s. So all I'm saying is, um, There's a lot going on in this world, and I think Trump is having a difficult time right now making these decisions. There's a lot of backstabbing. I think there's a lot of lies, and I really, really hope that many of you who are hearing me, if you're not a Christian, hopefully you decide you want to go to church and get some relief into your spirit, because times are trending to let's just be frank. The world is descending. It's going down. It's not looking good right now. That doesn't mean it's always going to be this way, but if you know what I know biblically, I would say we're definitely. I just don't see us getting better. Even though with all this technology that you're seeing, I think morally we're in decline, and that's the problem. So no matter how much our knowledge is growing and doubling or whatever, our morals are kind of descending, and everybody's kind of throwing things at each other, because, like, for instance, if you're for Israel, you seem to kind of look past the atrocities going on in Gaza and maybe even Iran. You're probably like, hey, they deserve it. Iran's a bunch of terrorists or whatever. So you might be of that, or you might be the other way, which is Israel's the cause of all the problems. So, there's all these different ways to view these things. And what I'm saying is, people, like I said, try to call me a dispensationalist or whatever that word is. I'm not. I'm just a non denomination Christian, but I can tell you, reading the Bible, it is in time, it's in pieces. You have the beginning, you have the middle with Jesus Christ, and you have the end, which I believe we're definitely there because we've already passed Christ, which is the middle, and we are towards the end now. So hopefully we don't get into this war. I actually wrote an article. So if you haven't, I believe we're living in a prophecy right now, which is the Bow of Elam in Jeremiah. I'll put the link to the article so you can read that. It's a short article. And it's, since some of these things already took place, you can just bypass it and get straight to the point of it. But in the prophecy, there's three parts to it, and I believe we're in the third part. Chatty, can you tell the audience about the Bow of Elam, the prophecy in Jeremiah, please?
Absolutely, Anthony. So the Bow of Elam prophecy is found in Jeremiah chapter 49, verses 34 to 39. In it, God declares that he will break the Bow of Elam, which was a powerful and ancient kingdom located in what's now southwestern Iran. The bow symbolized Elam's military strength, especially their archers. God says he will shatter that power, scatter the people to the four winds, and bring fear upon them from all directions. But here's the twist. God also says that in the latter days he will restore the fortunes of Elam. That's what makes it fascinating in prophecy circles today. Some believe this could point to modern Iran, especially with how its current military and nuclear ambitions could relate to that bow imagery. So it's not just a judgment prophecy, it's also a promise of restoration.
And see, so a lot of people, hold on, Chatty. So a lot of people don't really seem to know about this. I've been trying to spread it as much as I can, but obviously this is my 10th, not even my 10th video. It's like my 9th video, so I don't have a huge reach. My videos are barely starting to get a little bit more views. I'm hoping this one will surpass that, but I am trying to spread the word. I'm on Facebook, I'm on X, and I'm mentioning this prophecy because we're in the second part. Because, hey, Chatty, in the second part of this prophecy, the people get scattered, right? After the bow is snapped.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Anthony. In that second phase of the prophecy, Jeremiah says, God will scatter the people of Elam to the four winds. That's a powerful image of forced exile or displacement. Many believe this scattering could reflect things happening in modern Iran. People fleeing persecution, government crackdowns, or even war-related displacement.
See, so this is important because there's CNN, and I don't even know if it's exactly CNN, but I know that I've seen articles already talking about that if America attacks or helps Israel, that they see that like Turkey was one of the countries I remember seeing, said that they're worried that they're going to get a lot of foreigners from Iran that go there. And I've seen video, you've seen video of people leaving the cities because of what's going on right now. So that to me fits with that prophecy. So, and then the third part, which will be that they come back. And that sounds to me like what, I mean, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a regime change, right? That's what they've been talking about. So it sounds like the people will eventually come back, and hopefully be better for it. But I know that there's also some confusion when it comes to, like, say, the Magog and Gog prophecy and all that. But I can tell you that that can't be, because Chatty, the Magog and Gog prophecy, that is a little bit later. That isn't in the end times when that happens. It's an event that happens before the tribulation. Am I correct?
You're right to make that distinction, Anthony. A lot of people place the Gog and Magog war from Ezekiel 38 and 39 either right before the tribulation or very early in it. It's often seen as a setup event that triggers or accelerates the chaos to come. That war isn't the same as the final battle at the very end, which some confuse with Revelation's Armageddon. So yeah, if we're talking about Ezekiel's Gog and Magog, it's definitely believed to come before or at the start of the tribulation, not at the end of it.
Okay, so see, audience. So what I'm talking about is, right now we're in the Bow of Elam. A lot of people don't seem to know that, but that's what I feel that we're in right now. And then the Magog and Gog war, that's going to be something right before tribulation. That's where you have, like, I believe many scholars believe it's Russia and China and possibly Turkey. Some of those countries are going to come towards Israel, and during that time, I believe that Israel's not going to get a lot of backing. So if you look at it right now, a lot of people are upset at Israel. So you can see that taking place. Where if that does happen, the war with Magog and Gog, is that people are not going to want to back Israel, because people are kind of being fed up with Israel. So that seems the more likely thing to be happening. And then, like I said, and then as Chatty said, the final wars is during the tribulation, is towards the end. That's the army. That's the battle of Armageddon. That's when Jesus arrives. So that's totally different. At this point, the Christians are gone. All that's left is the non-believers and the Jewish people that yet don't know who Christ is. And this is important, because you're getting a lot of hate towards Israel. And even me myself, I have mentioned that I'm not for backing Israel in some of these wars, because there's a lot of misinformation. There's so many things going on. I don't think anyone really knows the truth. People are speculating, because you got bits of information here, bits of information over there. Like, is Israel pulling the strings? Are they running America? Because they seem to get into these issues and right away America gets involved. So a lot of people don't like that. I'm not a fan of funding wars and doing those things either. But I will never get to the point where I'm angry at Israel, like I hate them, or any of that. Because, like Ted Cruz, when he had his little debate with Tucker Carlson, one of the things he mentioned was, in the Old Testament, in Book of Genesis, where it says, "Those who bless the Jews will be blessed; those who curse the Jews will be cursed." And I think a lot of people misunderstand these things, because, see, you have the opposite side of the spectrum, and those are the ones like Candace Owens is starting to seem to be a part of, which is, we're the Christians, we inherit everything because Christ came. The Jews didn't accept him, Christians do, so we inherit Israel's inheritance, which is also wrong. So you're both wrong. If you feel like just the Book of Genesis, you're wrong. If you feel like just Christianity part, you're wrong. The whole Bible is about God. It's God's word. The whole Bible, many will argue, many scholars will argue, the whole Bible is about Christ, because in the Old Testament, Christ is actually prophesied. He's prophesied in Psalms. He's prophesied in Isaiah, and probably in some other spots too that I can't think of, that I may have forgotten. But my point is, you can't have one without the other. So if you're gonna just go with the blessings and cursing, you have to understand, blessing doesn't necessarily mean you go and you fight people's wars and battles and go die for them or kill for them. That doesn't mean that. A blessing is like saying, "Hey, we're with you, Israel. We back you. Like, we care about you. We love you. We hope good things for you in your future. But we're not getting in this war with you." You know what I mean? Because we don't feel it's justified. But if they want to go and pursue that, then they can. So what I'm saying is, there's that fine line. And as far as us taking the Israel's inheritance because they didn't believe in Christ, You have to understand. Yeah, yes, there's a synagogue of Satan, right? That's most likely what it looks like. I can't tell you 100%, but it looks like Zionism. Zionism is kind of the whole fuel of the synagogue of Satan, because Zionists don't believe in God anyways. They just believe in protecting Israel, and that's all they care about. And if you think about it, that's pretty much anybody, any country, any people that have this thought of I'm just a patriot, like country first, right? Country first, not God first, not family first. It's country first. People that think that way, they've sold out to Satan in a sense, because all they care about is the right now and this world that they're living in. They don't think there's nothing else but what we have today. So, what I'm telling you is, so there is the synagogue of Satan, and it's probably going to be Zionist, But to think that Israel doesn't have a special place in God's heart, it's wrong. He mentions that in the Old Testament. Israel is special, the land is special, and the people are special. And there's there inside of me when I read the Bible, this is how I feel. There's also an appreciation for the Jews in this sense, where it's not, think about it, it's just not easy taking the responsibility of being God's people. That's why they've dealt with so much tribulation throughout their existence, because it's difficult. But I have to believe, this is what I feel when I read the Bible, like what God's telling me is God chose them for a reason. So out of all the people, he chose them. And it was probably because no matter who he chose was going to have to deal with a lot of calamity. And maybe they're handling it better. But because they don't believe in Christ, and a lot of them just take the gifts that God gave them and do terrible things with it, right? The bankers, the porn industry, movie industry, they use it in a way that's just not very. They use their gifts in a way that are not good. Uh, they're not using it in the right way that God, I believe, wants them to use it. But at the same time, they're special people in a sense. I feel like they're not meant to know who Jesus Christ is. I can tell you almost positive that they're not meant to know. And I'll break that down. I'll study it more to kind of bring that to you on another video. But the reason why I say that is because once they know the it's the end of everything. Like right now we're in the age of the Gentiles, right? We're trying to spread the word of Christ and bring as many people as we can, to the party, right? We want them to go to heaven. That's the point of all this. So it's the time of the Gentiles. So once the Jews know, the specific Jews, the Christian Jews, or the ones that are not Christian but still believe in God, they will eventually know who Jesus is. And once they do, that's it. The Everything is over. Now, what I'm saying is there's a difference. In the end times, the Christians are gone when you're deep inside the tribulation. Um, we'll be gone right after the mark of the beast. All those things, prisoned, put to death, whatever. We're gone, and all that's left really is the non-believer and the Jews who are also non-believers. But that doesn't mean those Jews are damned. A lot of them will be, right? According to what you're reading, a lot of them will be because they accepted Satan. But there's going to be Jews that will realize who Christ is, and I'm not Christ, I'm not God, but I've read the Bible and I know that God and Jesus, they make their decisions the way they're going to make them. And I have a feeling, it's just a feeling, that those Jews in the last days, the ones that recognize who Christ is, will be saved. So it's a different standard. There's a different standard between the Christian and the Jew when it comes to those type of things. So you got to understand, because people will try to pick that apart and be like, "Whoa, you're saying that the Jews are better than us?" I go, "No, it's not that they're better. They have a different role." I think that's the way you would put it. They have a different role than us. So I'm not saying fund Israel, back them in wars, do whatever the hell they want, right? If they're hurting people, to go along with it. I'm saying go with Christ's morals that are in you, but don't hate the Jews. Don't start to get into that trap like the Nazis, because you're going to end up being like the people that attack Israel that God destroys, and you don't want to get destroyed because you allow your hate to take over. Because you got to understand, there's a lot of propaganda right now at this moment. Like you hear the word genocide get thrown around left and right, right? The Jews are committing genocide against the Palestinians, but when you look at it, is it really genocide? We're talking about, you know, what is it, 5-6 million Palestinians, and I believe like 50,000 people have died so far. That's not a super huge number. Now, that don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say like, hey, it's no big deal. I'm not. What I'm trying to say is when you consider genocide, Israel could easily wipe them out. So it's not a big enough number to say it's genocide. It's more of like it's an atrocity. It's a wartime, uh, wartime atrocity, high casualties, but it's not a genocide. Those are two different things. Genocide is more of a meaning. Like, are you going there to literally get rid of all the people? And I don't think so. Israel wants to get rid of them, but not in that way. They want these other countries to take the Palestinians in. And I believe that has to do with the prophecy I've already mentioned from Genesis 15:18 and on. You know, if you want to know more about that, you got to watch some of those old videos. I'm not going to repeat it on this one. With that being said, we're going to end this video. I want to tell you guys, I'm really happy that you're following my channel. I'm glad that you've made it this far. Please subscribe, share, go to the informator.net. I got these great articles. I write much better than I speak. I've mentioned that before. I got some really good stuff there, things that I've put together over time of my watching these documentaries, from my studies, from going to libraries. Like, who does that anymore? But yeah, but that's what I used to do. I used to go, that was my Google. I used to go to libraries and just look at books and get the information, you know. So please go to the informator.net. I don't release articles all the time, sometimes one, two a week. Please give this channel a like. Please spread it. Thank you and God bless.